Somewhere in the mountains of Central Asia, hidden behind peaks that scrape the sky, there's a wall. Not just any wall. A wall so massive, so perfectly engineered that it was designed to hold back the end of the world. The Quran calls them Yajuj and Majuj. The Bible knows them as Gog and Magog. Ancient texts describe them as creatures so savage, so unstoppable, that when they finally break through, every ocean on earth will run dry from them drinking it. And according to Scripture, that wall is still standing. Right now. Somewhere, but where? In the 7th century, a new scripture emerged from the Arabian desert, the Quran. And buried within its verses was a story that had been circulating for centuries across Jewish, Christian, and Zoroastrian communities. A story about a king who traveled to the ends of the earth. A story about a barrier that holds back chaos itself. The king's name was Dhul-Qarnayn, the two-horned one. Now, before we go further, you need to understand something. In Islamic tradition, Dhul-Qarnayn isn't just a legend. He's presented as a real historical figure, a righteous ruler granted power by God to travel the known world. Some Islamic scholars believe he was Alexander the Great. Others think he was a Persian king named Cyrus. Some say he was someone else entirely, lost to history. But whoever he was, the Quran says he did something extraordinary. He built a wall, not to protect a kingdom, not to mark a border, but to cage something inhuman. The story begins with Dhul-Qarnayn traveling west, all the way to where the sun sets. The Quran describes him reaching a muddy spring where the sun appears to descend into the earth. There, he finds a people living in darkness and delivers justice. Then, he travels east to where the sun rises. He finds a people with no shelter, exposed to the brutal rays of the dawn. He witnesses their suffering, but moves on. And then, he goes north, between two mountains in a place so remote that its people barely speak a recognizable language. Dhul-Qarnayn encounters a terrified community. They beg him for help. They tell him about two tribes living beyond the mountains, tribes that raid them constantly, tribes that destroy everything in their path. Yajuj and Majuj. The names alone strike fear. In Arabic, the words sound sharp, chaotic. Yajuj, Majuj. Try saying them. They feel wrong on the tongue, harsh, like the sound of something breaking. These weren't ordinary raiders. According to Islamic tradition, Yajuj and Majuj were descendants of Japheth, the son of Noah. After the Great Flood, humanity spread across the earth. But some groups became isolated, cut off. And in that isolation, they became something else, something monstrous. The people trapped between the mountains describe them as savages, endless in number, unstoppable in violence. Every season they pour through the mountain passes like locusts, devouring crops, slaughtering livestock, burning villages. Dhul-Qarnayn listens, and then he makes a decision. He's going to seal them in. Now, here's where the story gets fascinating. Because the Quran doesn't just say Dhul-Qarnayn built a wall. It describes how he built it, in detail, like an engineering blueprint from the ancient world. First, he asks the people to bring him iron. Not stone, not wood. Iron. Massive blocks of iron ore, carried from mines and forges across the region. They pile it high between the two mountains until the iron reaches the height of the peaks themselves. Then comes the fire. Dhul-Qarnayn orders his workers to build furnaces around the iron. They stoke the flames until the metal glows red, then white-hot. The entire structure becomes molten. The mountains themselves seem to burn. And then, the final step. He pours molten copper over the iron. The copper flows into every crack, every seam, fusing the iron into a single impenetrable mass. When it cools, the result is a barrier unlike anything the world has ever seen. A wall of iron and copper, smooth as glass, tall as the mountains, impossible to climb, impossible to tunnel through, impossible to destroy. The Quran says Yajuj and Majuj tried to break through. They clawed at it, they struck it with hammers, but the wall didn't budge. And so they were sealed away, trapped in their own land, waiting. But here's the thing, the wall isn't permanent. According to Islamic eschatology, the study of end times, Yajuj and Majuj are still behind that wall right now, and every single day they're digging. There's a hadith, a saying attributed to the Prophet Muhammad, that describes their routine. Every day, Yajuj and Majuj dig through the wall. They dig and dig until they can almost see sunlight on the other side. And just when they're about to break through, their leader says, "Let's rest. We'll finish tomorrow." And overnight, God restores the wall. The next day, they start again, digging, forever digging, never breaking through, until one day, their leader will say something different. He'll say, "Let's rest. We'll finish tomorrow if God wills." And that phrase, "if God wills," will change everything. Because the next morning the hole will still be there, and they'll finish digging, and the wall will fall. And when it falls, the end times begin. Islamic eschatology paints a vivid picture of what happens when Yajuj and Majuj are released. They'll pour out of the mountains in numbers so vast they'll cover the earth like a flood. The Quran describes them drinking every lake, every river, until entire seas are drained. Some traditions say they'll pass by the Sea of Galilee and drink it completely dry. They'll kill every human they encounter. No mercy, no negotiation, just annihilation. Even Jesus, who, according to Islamic belief, will return to earth during the end times, won't be able to fight them. The hadiths say Jesus and the remaining believers will flee to Mount Tur, barricading themselves inside, praying for deliverance. And then God will intervene. He'll send a plague, or insects, or parasites, depending on which tradition you follow, but the result is the same. Yajuj and Majuj will die, all of them. Overnight, their bodies will rot and fill the air with such a stench that survivors won't be able to leave their homes. Eventually, God will send birds to carry the corpses away. Rain will wash the earth clean, and only then will humanity rebuild. But by then, the world as we know it will be gone. So here's the question that has obsessed historians, theologians, and explorers for over 1,000 years. Where is the wall? If it's real, where is it? The Quran doesn't give us coordinates. It doesn't name the mountains. It just says Dhul-Qarnayn traveled to a place between two mountains where a people spoke a strange language and feared two savage tribes. For centuries, Islamic scholars have debated this, and over time, three main theories have emerged. Theory 1, the Great Wall of China. This is the most popular theory among ordinary Muslims. The logic is simple. The Great Wall of China is the most famous wall in history. It stretches thousands of miles across northern China. It was built to keep out northern invaders, tribes like the Mongols and Xiongnu, who are known for their brutality. Could those tribes have been Yajuj and Majuj? Here's the problem. The Great Wall is made of stone and earth, not iron and copper. And it was built over centuries by multiple dynasties, not by one king in one campaign. Also, the timing doesn't match. The earliest sections of the Great Wall date to the 7th century BC, but most of what we see today was built during the Ming Dynasty, between the 14th and 17th centuries AD. So probably not. Theory 2, the Caspian Gates. This theory is taken more seriously by historians. The Caspian Gates refer to several mountain passes in the Caucasus Mountains, between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. This region, modern-day Russia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, was a frontier between the civilized empires of Persia and Rome and the nomadic tribes of the Eurasian steppe. And here's the key detail. There are ancient fortifications in this region, massive walls, gates, barriers built by Persian and later Arab rulers to keep northern tribes from raiding the south. One of the most famous is Derbent, a city in Dagestan, Russia. Derbent sits on a narrow strip of land between the Caucasus Mountains and the Caspian Sea. It's literally a bottleneck. And running through Derbent is an ancient wall, parts of which date back to the 6th century AD. Persian legends called this the Gate of Gates. Arab historians called it Bab al-Abwab, and some medieval Muslim travelers believed this was the wall of Dhul-Qarnayn. Alexander the Great also built walls in this region. Ancient sources describe him constructing iron gates to hold back the Scythians, the savage tribes of the north. Could these have been Yajuj and Majuj? It fits geographically, it fits historically, and the description of northern tribes raiding southern civilizations matches the chaos that defined this region for centuries. Theory 3. The Wall of Gorgon, the Red Snake. East of the Caspian Sea in modern-day Iran and Turkmenistan, there's another ancient wall. It's called the Wall of Gorgon, or the Red Snake, because it stretches 195 kilometers across the desert like a crimson serpent. This wall was built by the Sasanian Persians in the 5th and 6th centuries AD to defend against raids from the Huns and other Central Asian tribes. It's made of red bricks, but archaeological evidence shows that parts of it were reinforced with metal and mortar. Some scholars believe this could be the wall described in the Quran. It's in the right region. It was built to stop northern invaders, and it's massive, longer than Hadrian's Wall in Britain. But again, the material doesn't quite match. The Quran emphasizes iron and copper, not brick. So where does that leave us? The truth is, we don't know. We may never know. Some scholars argue that the story of Dhul-Qarnayn is symbolic, that Yajuj and Majuj represent chaos, corruption, and the forces of disorder that will consume the world before its end. The wall, in this reading, isn't a physical structure. It's a divine barrier, a metaphor. But others insist it's literal, that somewhere in the mountains of Central Asia, there's a wall, hidden, forgotten, waiting to be rediscovered. And here's the unsettling part. If the wall is real, and if the prophecy is true, then it means Yajuj and Majuj are still there, behind the wall, digging, every day, getting closer. For over 400 years, believers have looked at the chaos of the world and wondered, is the wall still holding, or has the digging already stopped? Because according to the prophecy, we won't know the wall has fallen until it's too late, until the hordes pour out, until the seas run dry, until the end begins. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the wall isn't just a barrier between civilization and chaos. Maybe it's a reminder that the world is fragile, that order is temporary, that somewhere, just beyond the edge of what we can see, something waits. The question isn't whether the wall exists. The question is, how much longer will it stand?